Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Bayonetta 2 walkthrough. It's time for Chapter 10, The Depths. Or, as its full title should probably be, The Depths of Hell. Because we are actually going to be in hell, which is insane.
Time to do business. What's your pleasure?
Now, I have absolutely no idea what I decided I was going to get. I think it's probably just another... Oh, it's Moon Pearls, because I've got all of the Witch Hearts, which is an absolute godsend. Because those things are expensive. Not as expensive as the accessories, because those are just ridiculous. But it's still quite a lot. And I think this is the point where I'm going to start using... Oh, I'm actually going to try and use Takemikazuchi? Maybe? I don't know. Thought, show it off. Because basically it's just a really slow hammer. Has a wonderful kind of electric charge move thing. And it is really powerful if you can actually physically use it, but as I said, it's really slow. So, you've got to be good to make the best use out of it. Because otherwise your combo score is going to be really small. So, we really don't have much time at all to save Jeanne, so... Even though we don't really have that much time, it's time to head into a Muspelheim, which is our first verse of the chapter. Now, I will say that Chapter 10 is one of the longish verses chapters. No idea why I keep messing them up, but it is one of the longer ones. Certainly not the longest, but... There's a lot going on, and you meet a lot of new demons in this chapter. Well, I mean, considering you're in hell, where demons reside, it's hardly surprising. Having said that, there are some rather evil moments throughout, which is just... ugh. Also, Bayonetta 2, when you can't use Witch Time, is really, really difficult. Because, as I said, the game is ridiculously fast. So when you have enemies attacking you, and you don't go into Witch Time even though you would normally, like, sometimes you'll have enemies kind of do multiple attacks, and even though you're dodging them, and it's not going into Witch Time, it's just like, dodge, 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 out my hand, because you're kind of clutching onto the controller for dear life to kind of make sure it's all going okay. But... got a pure platinum! Yes! Certainly gonna need it, because I am an absolute failure at some of the later verses in this chapter.
If you need to learn how to talk to a lady, ask your mum.
But having come out of that, it's time to get this journal echo and do... it's about like 2 minutes, because we've got Overseer of Inferno, but we've also got, I think it's Taboo, which we got the other time. So, every once in a while you find someone either brave or stupid enough to pick a fight with angels and demons. A word of advice: save the epic battles for video games. Meet one of these monsters for real, and the only smart choice is to run. If you have a death wish, I won't try and stop you, but at least make sure to arm yourself with the proper weaponry. Everyday guns and knives are nothing more than a minor irritation to these beings. They won't even leave a scratch. You need something with a lot more bite. How does one acquire such a weapon? As hard-working, upstanding citizens like you and I eke out our meagre existence, in a certain establishment these types of goods switch hands daily. Sequestered in the shadow of gaudy neon, this part bar, part armory makes its home in the dankest corner of the city, the gates of hell. The unremarkable facade opens into an equally unremarkable pub, but those who enter via a secret door will meet a weaponsmith without equal. This, however, is easier said than done. Even if you find the door, one look from the barkeep, and most don't make it past the threshold. And don't even think of trying to buy these articles with money. Remarkable weapons require something remarkable in payment, namely the glowing halos that crown angels or the metals that carry a demon's essence. The types of currency that, while sinister, are said to be treasures of incomparable beauty. If you're looking for a discount, the right brand of Japanese sake makes any deal more palatable. You should definitely go for it. And Inferno, the cruelest, most ruthless place in existence. Humans are said to end up in this hellish world upon meeting an untimely end. In Inferno, power controls everything. War between its demonic inhabitants is endless, and it isn't uncommon for a rank to quickly change hands. I've been picking up a thing or two about the place that this bar I've been frequenting. Recently, just like in our world, there are some strange things occurring, and the denizens are starting to get a little restless. The owner of this bar advised me to keep my distance. Told me it might not be a place where I can get by on my good looks alone. I have no idea what happened there. Like that place exists. Even if it did, it's not like I could find my way there, even if I wanted to. I keep mentioning this bar, but I'll have to keep its particulars to a minimum. I've made a deal with the owner that I won't disclose its location. It's too good of a source of information to leak where it is anyway. Okay, just a hint. It's a bar in the same city as the office my dad left behind. The bar keeps a low profile, tucked away in one of the darker parts of town. I wouldn't say it's the best place to take a date, but the owner's always got good stories. I end up getting most of the info I'm looking for there. It doesn't come cheap, though. When you catch the bartender in a good mood, he'll tell you some strange tales. Worlds that are like something out of a kid's story to us. Paradiso, Inferno. He speaks about them with descriptions so realistic that you get lost in the story pretty easily, and before you know it, you've been listening to him the entire night. He's a strange guy, though. The few rare times I get to look past his sunglasses, those blood-stained, glowing red eyes, the gaze is so chilling I think it might freeze my very soul. He always says you won't find a nicer angel anywhere you look, but it seems like a run-of-the-mill demon joke. And it pretty much is. Now, what I am doing here is equipping the yellow lollipops. Why am I doing this, you may ask? Well, because it acts as a shield. And certain enemies, well, one enemy in particular that we are going to be introduced to in this chapter is an absolute dick and I hate it. And so I'm going to cheese my way through it because I just cannot stand it at all. Anyway, verse 2 here is another one of those really evil verses where if you fall off the platform, you are screwed out of getting the medal for it, so make sure to stay on because it screwed me over so many times in recording. Like, I think I had to record the start of this chapter a good 2-3 times because I just fell off. It was rather depressing, I have to say. But there's more stuff to do. If you run over here, there is number and tears of blood just there. But don't worry, even though he flew off, we will get him on our run back, because he'll have his back to us at that point. Now, one thing that I will point out about the depths is that there's kind of a lot to do. There are a lot of things to collect, a lot of things to unlock. And so you may be here for quite a while. I wouldn't say that it's the most difficult chapter in the game. To be perfectly honest, I would say that the majority of the game isn't that difficult. But this chapter does introduce two enemies who are highly likely to give you some grief. And I really do mean that, because they're not easy to defeat at all. And I'll also say that I'm really not a fan of them. But, coming over and completing this verse, we get a broken Golden Hymns LP thingy-majiggy, which is going to unlock one of the most awesome weapons in the game. Oh, I'm gonna have an absolute blast trying to pronounce that, aren't I? Now, I do find sort of the design for hell really interesting, because well, I mean, the entire premise I would assume is like chaos. And I mean, you can sell that with the swirling tornado, the fact that you've got all these scolopendras flying everywhere. If you want to get a pure platinum on this first, you've got to dodge everything. You don't need to attack, so that's fine. But you've also got to make sure to, I think it's... well, there's going to be a boulder at one point that you're going to have to break through to get a broken witch heart. It's this fella right there. Gotta make sure you go past it, otherwise you're screwed. But if you manage to avoid that, get a pure platinum. It's a pretty easy one, but you will potentially easily get screwed over. And here! Hello, Phantasma Renee! Or Phantasma Renee... I don't know. But we get to take down one of our infernal demons. It's slightly depressing because... I mean, he's a really cool enemy, and he acts very similarly to, I think, Phantom in Devil May Cry, which is essentially where he comes from and what he is. But he's treated like a sort of normal enemy mini-boss. Which is slightly depressing, because when you kind of summoned him in the original Bayonetta, it was stunning, because it was against Sapientia, it was in the water, and you kind of rode Sapientia into his mouth to destroy the face, and then there was the whirlpool, and then you kind of trapped Sapientia in the web, and it got eaten and torn to shreds, and it was brilliant. And then we face him here, and he's a he's a bloody annoying boss, I have to say. Because I mean, Undini does a great job, but then you get these moments where he kind of jumps onto the web, and I don't know. He just likes to run a lot, which then makes it really difficult to kind of keep your combo going, and just makes the fight last way longer than it feels like it should do. But then again, it feels like this should actually be a proper boss fight, not just some random standard appearance, which is just like, eh. But as you can see, I don't know what it is. I don't know whether it's just that I've got him into a weird loop or what. But yeah, and then he just kind of explodes, which is a bit... oh. I was expecting a little more from one of the best infernal demons in the last game. And you can probably see what I mean by at this point, that the game never quite manages to match up to that silly, giddy wonderfulness of the opening prologue. Because even when you're facing down infernal demons that you used in the last game, none of them ever match up to Gamora. But anyway, after we've moved along here, another journal echo, balance. It's our last one for this part. There is a balance that exists in all things. Finding it isn't the easiest thing in the world, but when you do, few things give you a better sense of accomplishment. Balance has a great deal of meaning to our world. The three realms of our world is divided into, light, darkness and chaos, have been carefully balanced as the trinity of reality so as not to interfere with one another. Although we say the three realms, they originally existed as one. They split caused the balance between these worlds to sometimes be as delicate as walking across thin ice. If one realm were to eventually acquire power greater than the others, the balance of the three realms would easily fall into anarchy. There's some with the ability to travel to Purgatorio, the realm between realms, or use gates to travel back and forth between the different realms, sometimes causing chaos and confusion. Irresponsible use of this power can cause monumental problems for the Trinity. It can lead to wars between realms and devastating natural disasters. At least, if I'm to believe the words of a certain bartender I spoke been spending too much time with. Perhaps these natural disasters happening within realms are some sign that this collapse imbalance between the three realms is already underway. Which reminds me, there have been some unnatural occurrences happening to me as well that could only be explained by a crisis sweeping all realms of existence. Getting my coat stuck in the car door, getting turned down by 3 girls in the same week. What other reason could be at hand other than foul play of the Trinity of Realities? Typical.